Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we're going to discuss why we homeschool our kids, and we're going to also cover if we're going to continue to homeschool our kids. So stick around and find out.
What does perfect even mean?
Okay guys, I just watched back the video that you're about to watch through when I was getting ready to edit and everything. And my lens is completely ridiculous and it keeps focusing and unfocusing and it's super annoying. So I'm not going to re-record this video because it was very, it's just very like raw, I guess. So I'll never get all the same information that I'm trying to get across again. So I'm not going to re-record it. So just bear with me, put in your earbuds and pretend it's a podcast or something because it's super annoying. So I don't, you don't have to comment below how annoying it is because I already know it's massively annoying. But I don't know, my lens was just being really weird or something on my camera. So just bear with it. The message is, important. So try to just bear with it the best you can. Throw in your earbuds, sip your coffee, just do your thing without having to worry about the focus of my camera. And I will work on getting it fixed for the next video. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to subscribe as well if you're not already. And follow me on Instagram too. Connect with me over there. Send me a message or something because I love meeting new moms and meeting, you know what I mean? Like chatting back and forth and stuff about different things that work and everything. So yeah, sorry about the focus, but just try to hear the message because that's more important than the focus for this specific video anyway. Thanks, guys.
Okay guys, I guess I will start by just saying that we decided to homeschool our kids back in 2015. Evan was in kindergarten and Liam was in second grade at the time, and Bronx was just a baby. So we decided over Christmas break, we decided leading up to that, but basically over Christmas break of 2015, we pulled the boys out and decided to homeschool. So this isn't going to be, a really lengthy video. I just want to cover some of the reasons why we chose to homeschool and kind of discuss where our heads are at on if the kids are going to be going back to public school or to public school for Bronx. Bronx has never been in public school. Our youngest is 5. Right now, we pulled them out over the Christmas break of 2015. There were quite a few issues that were going on in the school district that we were in. We've since moved and now they are no longer in that school district. So we have an option to have them try a different school out. But our reasons originally for pulling them out, they were both struggling pretty bad in the school. And there were a lot of negative reasons, I guess, like that we didn't want them to be in public school anymore. But we were trying to focus not on the whys of not going to public school, but more of the whys of why we want to homeschool instead. So we discussed it, and we discussed if we wanted to be, I was working at the time, so we discussed, do we want to be a single income household? Can we do this? What does it look like? All of those things. And ultimately them being homeschooled and home with us was the determining factor of, it was the sacrifice that we decided to make because we wanted all of the benefits that came along with homeschooling. So, for example, some of the benefits that we've seen, like I said, so this is January 3rd, 2019, and I pulled them out in December of 2015. At that point, when I pulled them out of school, Liam was not able to read. Within 1 month, he was reading chapter books. It was just the craziest thing ever. So that kind of showed me that it was like, all right, we're on the right track here, because it was very difficult to decide to homeschool because am I smart enough? Do I know enough? Can I do this? teachers go to school for how many years, to teach kids. How can I just do this because I don't have any of that training? Are people going to think they're weird? I mean, there's like a million questions that I'm sure if you're watching this and you're deciding about homeschooling your kids that have gone through your head as well. So I had all of those insecurities, into if I wanted to do this or not. And thankfully, I have a very supportive husband who believes in me and believes in my abilities and believes in the abilities of our children and of our family. And we just, we're like, well, let's try it. I mean, worst case, it doesn't work out and we put them back in public school. It's not that big of a deal. So I think some of the reasons why we decided back then, like 3 years ago now, some of the reasons were they were struggling in school. They were getting kind of left in the dust almost because they learn differently. I mean, every child learns differently. And they were like, it was just frustrating, I guess, because I felt like, almost like their innocence was kind of like being taken from them. Like they didn't have an opportunity to just be kids. It was just, they were so stressed out. I remember Liam crying, at the table, and he couldn't do his, math or reading or whatever, the case may be, and he couldn't do it, and he was just struggling so bad. And it's just heartbreaking to see that happen. And, we're like, okay, well, let's see if we can do this. And I think the number one thing was the flexibility. I wrote a bunch of notes here so I don't forget anything. But like the fact that it's completely customized to your child was one of the main reasons we wanted to do this, was so that it could be completely customized. The learning, the education, our day, our schedule. I mean, if we want to start school at 6 a.m, we can. If we want to start school at 6 p.m, we can. It doesn't matter. It's completely up to you. And the flexibility is amazing as well. So my husband has off every Friday. So I've been able to customize our homeschool day or homeschool week rather, I guess, to a 4-day school week. So we can have 4 days of school and then 3 days off. And I say off because just because it's a day off doesn't mean that the kids aren't learning. And I think that's like a big stereotype out there, is like if you have a day off of school, or we take off a couple of weeks of school, during a, summer or Christmas or whatever the case may be, your kids are still learning. They are learning all day, every day. And, you don't have to be like in a room. We don't have to be in our classroom to be learning. So I think that's, it's just like a pet peeve of mine, I guess. Sorry. Little side note there. But everybody's just like, oh, you don't have school today or whatever, and it's like, or quizzing them. And it's like, you don't quiz people in public school, so why are you quizzing people in homeschool? But that's for another video, another day. But I think it was just more of like the flexibility and being able to have more time as a family, being able to customize everything to them. Evan loves getting up early and Liam loves sleeping in. So we're able to kind of, arrange our day around that and to let them kind of do, what feels good for them naturally. And Liam, if he sleeps in an extra hour, it makes his day run so much smoother. So why would we not want to do that? And, with Liam, I mean, he has ADHD. And we, work with him on that. He's got like some putties and stuff that he does. We can break and do Legos. If he's struggling on something and he's getting the energies, as we call them, and he can't, sit and focus in a classroom, with all these other kids and distractions, and, he's like squirrel, squirrel, whatever. It makes it very difficult for him to focus. So it works really well to be able to stop and allow him to be able to do that, and play the Legos and work on that as much as he can, to take those breaks. So the other thing would be, the ability to reinforce our family values and be able to, kind of reinforce just our community values and how we feel and how our family feels, and, without that outside influence of things that they don't need to be learning or hearing or, just being around at that point, It gives us more of an opportunity to kind of work together as a family to make those different arrangements. And the other thing that, we really, really enjoy is just complete control of the schedule. Like I said, if we want to go on a camping trip, or we want to go for a weekend getaway, or just a day at the park, or whatever the case may be, we have complete flexibility. So say there's, an event coming up and it's, on a weekday, we can do that. We don't have to, miss out on an opportunity because of school. There's so many, I think that, I forgot one. Basically, we love the fact that we can teach them how to think instead of what to think. And I think that is probably one of our number one things, is teaching them how to be lifelong learners and teaching them how to, find answers for themselves. You and I both know that if there's something we want to know, we will research it to the end of the internet. We can go to YouTube and research it, and we are engaged and we care, and we are going to just go crazy on this information until we just can't get enough information, And kids are the same way. So to just sit them down and say, this is the way it is, and this is how it's going to be, and, and it's something they just completely don't care about. I think just giving them the opportunity to be in charge of their education as well. And maybe they want to learn about, they ask a question during the day. Well, I'm able to allow them that freedom to go get a book out of our extensive library. We have tons of books, literally over 1,000 books. So they can go in there and they can look it up, and we can, write about it or talk about it or read about it. Any of those things can happen on a daily basis at the drop of a hat. They're very, very curious. And I think that it's great to be able to feed that curiosity all day, every day. I really, really thoroughly enjoy that. So these are, just a handful of the reasons of why we chose to homeschool. And I don't want this to be a really, long video, but I'm just thinking those are the reasons why. And, what do you do when you start questioning if you're doing what's best? I think as parents, and especially if you're a parent, watching this video or out there researching, on homeschool or public school or whatever, say you're pregnant or you have little ones and you're trying to decide what's best, you're already at that point a good parent, because you're, questioning everything, and you're questioning how to do this and what choices to make for them. So, you have to just trust in what is best for you and what is best for your family. So at what point, I guess we've had lots of ups and downs as a homeschool family. And at what point do you decide enough is enough? I hear a lot of people say that they, were called to do this, or they feel called to homeschool. I don't feel that. I don't feel that I have to homeschool. I don't feel that I should be homeschooling. I really don't. I don't feel a strong desire to homeschool because it's very stressful, honestly. It's chaotic, it's stressful, it's time consuming, it's expensive. I guess expensive is, relative, because it's however much you want to spend on it, but for me, it's expensive. So I think that it just it's hard, and you question, if they're giving you a hard time, or, you're just having a bad day and you're constantly at each other's throats, or they're constantly fighting and just nothing feels like it's jiving. At what point do you say, okay, I'm done, and you call it quits? I can't do this anymore, I feel like it's just so difficult. It really is. I mean, it's such a sacrifice to homeschool children, and you never realize it until you're the one doing it and you're living it, you know. So my husband and I realize it now because we're living it every single day, you know. And the kids realize, you know, the different pros and cons and, you know, whatever. And I think that for me, last August, September-ish, so that would be 2018, August, September, throughout most of last year, I was really sick. And it was just, I hit the end of my rope. And I was, you know, just, I was done. I'm like, I physically could not do it anymore. And they were fighting, you know, and arguing, and I couldn't do it anymore. So I decided that, you know, I need to talk to my husband, and I'm like, you know, this is such a struggle for me. And I think before we got to that point, you know, the curriculum and stuff, that's always like the big thing. You know, I didn't really use like a specific curriculum. So I used a couple different things here and there, you know, and like I'm a consultant with Usborne, so I have a ton of Usborne books that we use that too. But I think it just got to the point where I didn't know what else to do. Like, I've tried curriculums, I've bought them and, you know, paid for them and used all the money, and it didn't work for my kids. Or it was horrible. You know, I hated it or they hated it. It was just miserable. And that's not the point of homeschool, is not to sit there and everybody cries the whole day, you know, every hour of the day to get through the day. Like, that's not the point of homeschool at all. And we were to that point, you know, it was like everything was just horrible. And we got to, it was just a crazy, crazy time. But this year, for the curriculum, I actually got a different round of curriculum, and it was from Master Books. So we used the language, like living education, I don't know it all right off the top of my head, but the math, you know, for living education, and then the language arts, it was all like living education. And then I found like the good and the beautiful science, and, you know, a bunch of different things like that, of those areas, you know, and it worked out really well. And the curriculum this year was on point. It worked amazing for my kids. It was just so, so good. So I think that it was really frustrating for me, because I was having such a hard time, you know, with my health and everything. And, you know, my husband and I talked about it, and we're like, listen, the kids are fighting all the time. I can't referee. I can't handle this. Like, I'm just barely able to take care of myself. Like, it was just a really, really hard time for me. And please don't lick my paper. We got to the point of where it was just, enough was enough. And, you know, we talked about it, and we decided that we are going to send them back to public school. So I started doing all the research. I know the school district we live in and all of that. I started getting the schedules and trying to figure out the times, you know, of the classes and what's available and what they could be doing or not doing, you know, what the days would look like. And like I told you, my husband was off on Fridays, or he is off on Fridays. So I was like, built-in date day, you know, automatic, you know, nothing, we don't have to worry about finding a babysitter. We can have basically the entire day. I'm like, this is amazing. So I was like starting to get a little pumped up, you know, and I'm like, all right, this is going to be fun. Like, I can go to Target, I could go to Starbucks, you know, like, this is just going to be a great time for me. I can go do the groceries alone, you know. It was like it made me feel excited or hopeful on the horizon that there was this time that I would be able to have to myself as well. You know, I could go to the gym, or I could focus more on like meal planning and just all of the things that we do as moms, you know. It's just like, this is crazy. It's not a situation where I would put them in school and go back to work. like outside of the home or anything like that. So I was looking at all of the opportunities that would be there for me if they were in school, and I wouldn't have to, deal with them basically, deal with these issues that come up on a daily basis, or deal with just all of the, chaos that ensues during the day. And if they didn't want to do school, it wouldn't be my problem anymore. Or, if they were having a bad day, it wouldn't be my problem anymore. And then I started questioning, the closer we got, we basically, we told them that they were going back to public school. We had it all arranged. We had it all worked out. It was going to be January 2nd, which was yesterday. And if you watched my video from yesterday, you know that I showed you us cleaning our schoolroom and getting ready. So ultimately, we decided that we were not going to send them back to school, public school. But we definitely had everything in line for them to go back to school. And I think the one thing that was, I was thinking about the most was that, like, am I being selfish? Am I being selfish by putting them in school? Because all of the reasons why, yes, I think it would make me a better mom if I had more time, sure. I think it would make me maybe a better mom if I got to go to the gym or got to do what I wanted once in a while, or didn't have to be stressed out all day long. I could focus, on these different things. And that was the main thing, as well as my health, over, from like June until probably like November, I was really, really sick. And I think it kind of started in October getting a little bit better, but it was really not until like November, almost December, honestly. I mean, it was like way in there that I started feeling like myself again, and even better than myself. So I think that it was like all of those things just compiled on top of me at once. Like, I just need a break, And we discussed it with the kids, and we asked them, do you want to go to public school? Because I knew at first they didn't, but then they were kind of excited, and then we discussed it, and we're like, do you guys want to do this, or do you want to stay home? Because I remember vividly one morning I went outside to take the dog out, and I was standing out there, and Liam came out and hugged me, and like I almost started crying. I'm getting emotional right now, because it was like just thinking about that time I'd be giving up. Yes, I think that we get stressed out. Any mom gets stressed out, any dad gets stressed out. Regardless, any caretaker of children gets stressed out. But you can do it. And like, I'm living proof of that, because every single day that you wake up is a new day. Every single moment can be a new moment. So instead of just freaking out and saying, I'm going to send you to school so you can be somebody else's problem, essentially, is trying to work through those things and figure out how can we be more, how can we work together more, or be, a closer family, or be, I don't want to miss that time. Like, I don't want to miss that time with them. I see so much growth in them from being homeschooled that it just terrified me almost to just give that up for a Target run alone. I mean, it just seems crazy. But in the time when you're desperate, it's hard, But ultimately, yes, we are continuing with homeschool. We will not be sending our kids to public school. And I am so excited about that. I think just realizing it and like putting it out there that we were going to send them back to public school and making that a reality, it kind of like scared me almost, like, I couldn't go through with it. And I think it took me getting to that point, because I was like, how many times? I mean, if you're a homeschool mom, I'm sure, I would bet you there's like no homeschool mom that's never thought, oh, these guys got to go back to school. I'm done. It's got to happen. I mean, how many times does it cross your mind, like, oh, what if they were in public school? Like, what could I do? Maybe there's some saint out there that's never thought that, but any homeschool mom out there has thought how easy it could be, if you just put them back in school. So I was like almost sick of like having those thoughts. It was like, well, why don't we just do this then? Because I'm not a a talker and this and that. I'm a doer. So if I want to make a change, I'm going to make that change, and I'm going to make it happen, and I'm going to make it the best it can be, And if I fail, then fine, but at least I did it. At least I tried it to know. It's the same as wanting to homeschool them and wondering, am I smart enough? Like, I hated school. I barely, I didn't like doing, only certain subjects or certain things. Or if I struggle in math or English or, science or language, whatever the case may be, am I good enough? Am I going to fail my kids? That's a lot of pressure. And I just didn't want to wonder that anymore. I'm like, well, let's just try it. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? You guys, it doesn't work for your family, and they go back to public school, It's really not that big of a deal. So I think that it was just a lot of challenging reasons of why they should go back. And ultimately, they are not going back, and we are all thrilled. And I think we had like a few weeks of school before our break that we took for Christmas. We had a few weeks where we decided, we had some of the school, like, because they were thinking they were going back to school in January. And then we had some time, doing school after we kind of reconnected as a family and decided that we were going to keep them home. And things were going a million times better. I think that just explaining to them, how the day's going to work, and you have to do your work, because there's a lot of times where it gets very easy to refuse to do work because they're home, and I think that it doesn't need to be that way. It can be a very organic, beautiful, amazing thing. And there were times when people would say that, like, when your child learns something new, that you get so excited. And I just remember feeling, I'm like, there were times when I was like, I don't even care. I don't care. I don't get excited. I just don't want them fighting all the time. Or I don't want them, crying because they don't want to do this work. Like, let's just do it and get it over with, But if you come at it from a different angle, and you work with them, and you kind of, everybody takes a break for a minute, everybody just relaxes and just start fresh. Every single day you can start fresh. So we are beyond excited for the new year. I'm very excited to continue to homeschool them, and I'm really excited about where the rest of this year takes us. And I think that it's going to be a great year. So, or a great second half of the year, because it's January and we've already done, some of school already. So, yeah, we are going to continue homeschooling, and those are some of the reasons why we chose to homeschool in the beginning, and it's absolutely been amazing for our family. Is it for every person, every child? No. Is it for every mom? No. But I think that we get in our heads because of Instagram and social media and whatnot, and you see all of these like, oh, I'm gonna homeschool because look at how lovely this is. And I think it was just like seeing that, and you're like, well, my kids don't act that way or whatever. And you know what? Those kids in those little squares don't act that way 24/7 either. So I think that you're normal, your kids are normal, and you just have to relax and push through it. If somebody's crying and doesn't want to do math on Monday, and it's a horrible like fight and yada yada, it doesn't need to be that way. And you can't compare yourself to other people, and you can't say like, oh, look at so and so's like doing all this homeschool stuff and amazing and this and that and the other thing. And it's like, it's not real life. It's a highlight reel. And there's going to be hard times. It's not going to be a walk in the park. It's not going to be amazing every single day, but there are amazing moments in it. And whether you choose to homeschool or public school your kids, that's, completely your right and decision. And you got to do what's best for your family. And I didn't know quite honestly, I was thinking that, maybe I enjoyed the time we homeschooled, but I was like, all right, it's been a good run, so, it's time to call this quits. But I feel like it's been, a lot different now, and we're able to just kind of go at it a different, like from a fresh perspective. It's almost like we're brand new starting again. It's almost like they've not been homeschooled for 3 years or whatnot. And it's very exciting. So we're really excited. If you're struggling, it does get better, and it can get better, or maybe it's better for them to go to public school. And that's, who knows? Everybody has different, things, and you can always decide what you want to do. It's not like you have to homeschool forever if you decide to homeschool, or if you send them to public school that they have to be public schooled forever. That's the freedom and flexibility that comes along with it. So if this video got a lot longer than I expected, but I just feel like there's a lot of, moms out there that struggle every single day, and anybody that does homeschool knows that it's a struggle. But you can do it. Your kids can do it. Everybody that's involved in your family, in your four walls can do it. And you just have to be, stronger than your worst day, I guess. I don't even know if that's a thing, but you know what I mean? Like, just take a break, take a breath, and start over, start fresh. Mix it up, figure it out. We've found a curriculum that we absolutely love finally, and that works for us. It doesn't mean it's going to work next year, but right here, right now, it's working, and they're excited about it. They don't cry, they love it. So I'm hoping that continues. So I guess we'll go ahead and end it here. Thanks for watching, guys. If you guys have, any, like, if you've had these feelings or, anything like that, you can feel free to message me on Instagram or comment below, and, we can discuss it more and further, because I've been there and done that, and it's a crazy, crazy roller coaster ride to homeschool your kids. But it's like so fun and amazing and crazy and free, all at once too. So if you're struggling out there, it gets better. If you're trying to decide what to do, you're probably not going to know unless you do it. So just make your decision, go with it, and see what happens. See where it takes your family, and then go from there. If you need to change it, you change it. It's not a big deal. So thanks for watching, guys. Like this video if you like these kind of videos as well, like the talking ones, or give me a comment below and let me know what your thoughts are on homeschooling, or what your reasons are for homeschooling as well, because I'm sure there's like hundreds of them that I completely forgot, because I was just trying to pick a handful to keep this short. But it didn't really work out for me either, because I'm seeing the time ticking like crazy. So I will see you guys in the next video, and thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you're not subscribed for all of our homeschool and crazy family adventures. Bye, guys.
What does perfect even mean? Is there even